بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the first lesson of the video series Arabic Grammar for Understanding the Quran. Now in this first lesson we're going to be taking a look at three different subtopics. First we will begin with a very general background introduction to the Arabic word. So we'll be discussing things like their characteristics and the traits of Arabic words. And then we'll move on to topic number 2, which is the adjective or sifa in Arabic. And last but not least, we will be taking a look at the plural and the different types of plurals in Arabic. And the word for plural is al-jama'. So let's begin inshallah with the first topic. All Arabic words are classified into 3 different types. So if you take an Arabic word, it's going to fall under one of these 3 categories. It's either going to be an ism, a fi'l, or a harf. Ismun, fi'lun, wa harfun. What's an ism? An ism is a noun or a pronoun. So all nouns or pronouns fall under this category of ism. A fi'l is a verb. Now this includes verbs of all different conjugations and tenses. And this will also include verbs that are in the interrogative or the command form. So basically any type of verb in Arabic, regardless of conjugation or tense, will fall under this category. And lastly, we have the group harf. Now the best translation is a particle, even though this word is kind of obscure. But just know for now that a harf, this group includes most English prepositions. So things like from, to, with, things like that, about, will fall under this category of harf. And we will discuss these 2 groups in a lot of detail in the upcoming lessons. But in this lesson, we will hone in and focus on the ism. Not so much pronouns, but just nouns in general. So the ism, the plural of which is asma', has 4 essential qualities. These are 4 very basic and fundamental characteristics of the ism. And they are gender, number, case ending, and definiteness. For clarification, case ending is not exclusive to the ism. All Arabic words have case endings, and we will learn later on that verbs have case endings as well. But for now, whenever you see an ism, whenever you see a noun appear, I want you to think about these 4 qualities. What's the gender of the word? What's number? What's the case ending? And what's its definiteness? Meaning, is it definite or indefinite? But we'll get to this in a bit. Let's talk about gender for now. So all asma in Arabic have gender. Each ism, whether it's a person, place, or thing, is considered masculine or feminine. The Arabic word for masculine is mudhakkar, and the word for feminine is mu'annath. Now in English, gender is typically not ascribed to things that are dead and inanimate. So we don't call things like books, rocks, and cars male or female. We don't typically say in English, I picked up a rock, he was heavy, or she was heavy. We don't say things like that. But in Arabic, everything is either masculine or feminine. If you can name it, it has a gender. So these things, books, rocks, and cars in Arabic, do have a gender. Let's discuss gender in a bit more detail. Let's take the word Muslim, which is, a male adherent or a follower of the Islamic faith. And if you add a ta marbuta to the end of the word Muslim, we get muslimah, which is the female version of a Muslim, namely a female follower of the Islamic faith. A second word, mu'min, which means a male believer. If we do the same transformation, the same modification, by adding a ta marbuta to the end, we get mu'minah, which is a female believer. Okay. And then last but not least, we have the word zawj, which means husband in Arabic. If we add a ta marbuta to the end, we get zawjah, which means wife, the female version of this word. So what do we notice? We notice that the ta marbuta at the end of these words makes these words feminine, basically, and we can convert the masculine version of the word into its feminine counterpart or feminine form by adding a ta marbuta to the end. Now this isn't always the case. Many words in Arabic do not have a masculine or feminine counterpart. Take, for example, the word qamar, which means moon. This is masculine. You might think that the opposite is sun, so if we add tam al-buta to get qamarah, that should mean sun, which is feminine. That's not the case. The word for sun is ash-shams, which is an entirely different word. For example, the word sa'ah, which means time or hour, is feminine, but you can't drop the tam al-buta to get the masculine counterpart. That just doesn't exist. So these words appear and exist by themselves, and they have a fixed gender. Some masculine-feminine pairs are composed of entirely different words. For example, the word walad, which means boy, has the opposite, namely girl or bint in Arabic. But notice how we did not add a tam al-buta to walad to get waladah. It's just bint. And not all feminine words have a tam al-buta. Some are feminine by their meaning. Again, the word bint does not have a tam al-buta at the end, but it is feminine because we understand that the word is feminine by meaning. Next, we're going to take a look at number. Each ism in Arabic is numbered and can be singular, dual, or plural. Singular or mufrad refers to one copy or one instance, one version of something. The dual is two of something, and the plural, of course, is three or more. So here we have the word kitab, which means book. Specifically, it means one book. The dual version is kitabani or kitabaini. So we're taking the singular form and we're adding ani or aini. Ani or aini. Kitabani, which means two books, and kitabaini, which also mean two books. Now, what's the difference between these two words? The difference is that they have different case endings. So they both mean two books, but they have different grammatical values and functions, and we will talk about this in more detail. But for now, I would encourage you to try to train your ears to listen for these phonetic changes. Ani and aini usually refer to the dual version of a particular thing. And of course, we have three or more, which is kutub. So kitab is one book, kitabani, kitabaini, two books, and the plural, three or more, is kutub. The dual does not exist in the English language, so this is a very unique aspect of Al-Arabiya, of Arabic. Let's take a look at the third quality, which is case ending. Each ism in Arabic occurring in an Arabic sentence has a specific case, which is basically a variable changing in its ending, a variable change in its ending that is dictated by its function in the sentence. And this ending also reflects the function in the sentence. So what does that mean? Basically, a case ending is a change in the ending that tells us something about that word's role in a sentence. And in actuality, all words, not just asma in Arabic, have case endings. Arabic grammar is pretty much case ending analysis, or i'rab. Arabic grammar answers such questions as, for instance, when do we use kitabani? When do we use kitabaini? And i'rab is a very extensive and detailed and technical science or discipline. But inshallah, gradually we will explore a great deal of it in the upcoming lessons. Now, you might still be a little confused and not too sure what a case ending means. Let's consider a few examples. We have the words muslimun, muslimun, musliman, and muslimin. All three words mean Muslim, but notice how the endings are different. We have a dhammatan over here, a fathatan over here, and a kasratan down here. The word yaktub, which means he writes or he is writing, is a verb. And we can have, again, three different versions. We can have yaktubu, yaktuba, and yaktub. Again, notice how the endings are different. We have a dhamma, a fatha, and a sukun. And lastly, we have the words muslimuna and muslimina. Both words mean Muslims, but the first version has a waw, and the second one has a ya. Okay, what's going on here? We see this in the Quran all the time. The words in each set have the same meaning, but each word has a different grammatical value and role, and that's what the case ending tells us. Again, Arabic grammar answers such questions as, when is it appropriate for us to say Muslimun? When do we say Musliman? And when do we say Muslimin? And in each particular sentence, there is only one correct answer. It's either yaktubu or yaktuba or yaktub. Again, even though all three words have the same meaning, they have different grammatical roles. They play a different function in a sentence. And that's basically the gist of case ending analysis, or i'rab. Again, it's a very detailed science, but we will inshallah address all of these issues in future lessons. Let's talk about the fourth and last quality of asma in Arabic. Each ism is either definite or indefinite. So the Arabic word for definite is ma'rifah. When I say something is definite, I mean it is specified. We're talking about a specific item or specific thing. So if I say the book, right, just like in English, when I say the book, you and I know we're talking about a particular book. If I say the book is on the table, out of all the books in the world, out of millions and millions of books, there is just one book that I am referring to. On the other hand, if a noun is indefinite or nakirah, it is unspecified. When I say a book, I'm talking about any book. Over here, we have three nouns, all of which are definite. We have al-muslimu, al-muslima, and al-muslimi. Just as a reminder, the case endings are different, but we're not going to worry about that for now. All three nouns mean the Muslim. Notice how we have an alif lam in front of the word. Al-muslimu, al-muslima, and al-muslimi. This alif lam is what makes the word definite. We can convert all of these words into their indefinite forms by dropping the alif lam and adding a tanween. So al-muslimu becomes muslimun, al-muslima becomes musliman, and al-muslimi becomes muslimin. And these words now mean a Muslim, any Muslim. And the tanweens are highlighted here. So, take-home lessons. All asma with the alif lam in front are definite. So if you see an ism with the alif lam in front, you should immediately remember that it is definite and specified. All asma except proper nouns or names that take a tanween are indefinite. You can ignore the stipulation for now. Basically, most asma that take a tanween at the end are indefinite. And of course, an ism cannot take both a tanween and an alif lam. Now, there are other categories of asma that are considered definite or ma'rifah. These include alam, which are proper names, al-dhama'ir, which are pronouns, ism al-ishara, wal ism al-mawsul, the demonstrative and the relative pronoun, and the mudaf, which I'm not too sure how to translate. Anyway, don't worry about these for now, okay? We are going to talk about each of these in more detail later on. For now, just remember that an ism with an alif lam in front is ma'rifah. Okay, at this point, we are going to review the four different qualities of asma that we have discussed just a moment ago, namely gender, definiteness, number, and case. So let's look at a very short verse from the Quran. In verse number 2 of Surah Al-Alaq, Allah says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ عَلَقٍ. Let's focus on the two asma that we have, al-insana and alaqin. Al-insana and alaqin. So the word al-insana, again, you hear the al in front, that tells you the word, that tells you the word is ma'rifah or definite. The word is also mudhakkar, which means it's masculine. It is mufrad or singular. And regarding its case ending, which we know nothing about at this point, but we can just say it takes a fathah at the end. Al-insana. The word alaqin, we hear the tanween, we know that it is indefinite or nakirah. The word is mudhakkar as well, masculine. Regarding its number, it is mufrad, and regarding its case, it takes a kasra at the bottom. Let's take a look at a second example. This is a segment taken from the middle of verse 35 in Surah An-Nur. Let's focus on the words highlighted here. Al-misbahu zujajatin, az-zujajatu kawkabun, and shajaratin. Al-misbahu, we hear the al, we know it is ma'rifah. The word is mudhakkar, mufrad, and takes a dhamma. Next word, zujajatin, we hear the tanween, we know it is indefinite. Now notice how the word has a ta marbuta. This tells us the word is mu'annath, or feminine. It is mufrad singular and takes a kasra. Az-zujajatu has the alif lam, making it ma'rifah. It has a ta marbuta, which makes it mu'annath. Mufrad singular takes a dhamma. Kawkabun, we hear the tanween, making the word nakirah. It is mudhakkar, masculine, mufrad singular, and takes a dhamma. Shajaratin has a ta marbuta, so the gender is feminine, mu'annath. It is nakirah, because the marking is a tanween. It is mufrad singular, and it takes a kasra for its case ending. So at this point, you should be quite comfortable and familiar with these 4 different qualities. And every time you look at an ism in the Quran, you should think about its gender, whether it's definite or indefinite. Is it singular, plural, or dual? And what's the case ending it takes? Moving on to topic number 2, the plural, or al-jam'. Plurals in Arabic are of 3 different types. In other words, every single plural you will encounter will fall under one of these 3 categories. Number 1, we have the broken plural, jam' al-taksir. Next, you have the sound masculine plural, jam' al-mudhakkar al-salim. And lastly, you have the sound feminine plural, jam' al-mu'annath al-salim. You should know these words by now. Al-mudhakkar is masculine, mu'annath is feminine, and salim means sound, something that is intact, that is unbroken and sound. So let's begin with the first type of plural, which is the broken plural, jam' taksir. Forming this plural requires breaking apart the singular form, requires dismantling the singular, and then adding in and changing stuff, so modifying it in very strange, so-called strange ways. Strange in my opinion, at least. Let's take a look at a few examples here. We have bayt, which means house. The plural becomes buyut. So we have a very random waw thrown in there, and we've also changed the vowels on the ba and the ya to 2 dhammas. Next, we have the word asima, which means capital. Again, the plural becomes awasim. This is broken because we've split apart the word, we've thrown in a waw, we've dropped the ta marbuta. Yeah, we've inserted the waw right between the ayn and the alif. Last but not least, we have the word kitab, which means book. The plural becomes kutub. We have dropped the alif and also changed the short vowel markings on the kaf and the ta. So in summary, these plurals are considered broken because we had to change the singular form in very fundamental ways, oftentimes breaking up the word and modifying the vowels. Although patterns for these plurals do exist, broken plurals must be memorized when you learn the singular form. So the way I learned it was bayt buyut, asima awasim, kitab kutub, and that's really the only way to go about it. Next, we have category number 2, the sound masculine plural, or jam' al-mudhakkar al-salim. To form this type of plural, simply add una or ina to the singular. Una or ina. These words are human and masculine in meaning. Let's take 3 examples. We have muslimun, which is one male believer of the Islamic faith. Mufrad. To make the jam' or the plural, we add una or ina to the end. So we get muslimuna or muslimina. Now, again, how are these words different? They both mean Muslims. They're both the plural of Muslim. The difference is in the case ending, which we will not worry about for now. So just learn the two forms. Muslimuna, muslimina, both mean Muslims. Example number 2, we have the word fasiq, which means sinful or immoral, someone who's sinful or immoral. To make it the plural form, we add una or ina. Fasiquna, fasiqina, which means men who are sinful or immoral. Lastly, we have zalim, a male individual who's unjust or a male oppressor. To get the plural, again, we do the same modification. We add una or ina. We get zalimuna and zalimina. These are sound because the singular remains intact. Notice how the word Muslim still appears in the plural. The word fasiq appears and the word zalim appears. We are only making very simple changes to the ending, adding una or ina. And the last type of plural is called the feminine, sound feminine plural, Jam' al-Mu'annath al-Salim. To form this, we simply drop the ta marbuta at the end of the feminine word of the feminine singular, and we add at to the singular. We add at, which is an alif and a ta. These words are feminine, but not necessarily human. Let's take a look at a few examples. We have muslimah, muslimah, which is a single female believer of the Islamic faith. If we drop the ta marbuta and add at to the end, we get muslimat, muslimat. We have the word muhsana, which is a chaste woman. Again, dropping the ta marbuta and adding at, we get muhsanat, muhsanat. And then this last example is a non-human example. We have the word ayah, which means a sign or a verse in the Quran. Dropping the ta marbuta and adding at gives us ayat, ayat. These are sound again, just like the sound masculine plurals, because the singular form remains intact, pretty much, except for the ta marbuta being dropped off. Everything else in the singular appears in the plural. We are only making very simple changes to the ending, adding at. Some feminine words that end in ta marbuta have broken plurals, so watch out. For example, the word surah, the plural is suwar. This is broken. It is not surat. So pay attention to these and make sure to memorize those. Now let's take a look at some examples from the Quran to review the plurals. So over here we have a number of plurals taken from various different verses in the Quran. We are going to talk about the type of plural, the category it falls under, and then the singular form. So in verse number 1 of Surah Al-Kafirun 109, Allah says, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. The plural is kafirun, disbelievers. We hear the un that tells us it's a sound masculine plural, Jam' al-Mudhakkar al-Salim. It's easy for us to figure out the singular. You just drop the un at the end to give kafir. In verse number 1 of surah number 105, Allah says, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Ashab means companions. This is an example of a jam' taksir, a broken plural. The singular is sahib. In verse number 2 of surah number 102, At-Takathur, we have حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ, maqabir, which means graves. This is again another example of a jam' taksir, a broken plural. The singular is maqbar. In surah number 16, verse 44, this is surah An-Nahl, I believe. We have the verse bil-bayinati wa-zubur. Al-bayinat, we hear the at that tells us it's a jam' al-mu'annath al-salim, a sound feminine plural. And to recover the singular, we drop the alif and the ta, we add ta marbuta to get al-bayina, al-bayina. In the next verse of the same surah, we have as-sayyi'at, sayyi'at. Same deal here. It's a jam' al-mu'annath al-salim, and the singular is as-sayyi'ah. In surah number 24, verse 27, we have buyut. This is an example of a jam' taksir. The singular is bayt. And then the last four examples come from the last ayah of Surah Al-Ahzab, where Allah says, لِيُعَذِّبَ اللَّهُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ. We have al-munafiqina. We hear the ina. This tells us the word is a jama' mudhakkar salim, a sound masculine plural, and the singular form is al-munafiq, just the front part. Al-munafiqati is a jama' muannath salim. Singular is al-munafiqah, al-munafiqah. And then we have al-mushrikina, jama' mudhakkar salim, al-mushrik. And last but not least, we have al-mushrikat, which is jama' al-mu'annath al-salim. The singular is al-mushrikah. So al-munafiqina is the male hypocrites, al-munafiqat, the female hypocrites, al-mushrikina, the male polytheists, and al-mushrikat, the female polytheists. Okay, this is the last subject for today in this lesson, is al-sifa. The sifa is a modifier that follows the ism it describes, and it agrees with the ism in four fundamental ways. And they are case, number, definiteness, and gender. Now, it's not a coincidence that I chose to talk about these four characteristics just a few moments ago, because in order to understand the sifa, we must understand agreement on these four different levels. So let's take an example. We have the phrase al-hukumatu al-jadidatu. Al-hukumatu al-jadidatu. Al-hukuma means the government. Al-jadida means the new government. Let's pay attention to these four different traits. We have al in front of both words, in front of the ism and the sifa, telling us that both are definite. We have a ta marbuta at the end of the ism and the sifa. Both are feminine, mu'annath. We have the same case ending on both words, dhamma, and both are singular. So here it is, both are feminine, definite, singular, and both take dhammas. There is agreement in these four different regards. Example number 2, we have the phrase rajulin bakhilin, which means stingy man. Again, we have agreement in the gender, both are masculine, both are indefinite with the tanween, both are singular, and both take a kasra. Now, I want to bring your attention to one very important observation, and that is to call the modifier a sifa in Arabic grammar, we must have the following form. And the form is a big house, okay, where the adjective is strung to the noun. The ism and the sifa are together in this particular structure. The Arabic equivalent would be baytun kabirun, a big house. Baytun is the mawsuf, that's the thing being modified or described. Al-sifa is the adjective, the descriptor. Again, we have to have this form, baytun kabirun, in order for us to call kabirun al-sifa. We can have other forms, okay? If we have other forms, the adjective is al-sifa in a general sense, but not al-sifa in the grammatical sense. Okay, consider these two forms. We have the house is big and the house was big. There's actually a difference between these two sentences and this phrase up here. We call big a sifa in this case, but not in these two cases. And that's true because the Arabic equivalents of these two sentences are here. We have al-baytu kabirun, the house is big, or kana al-baytu kabiran, the house was big. Notice how over here we don't have agreement in definiteness, and over here we don't have agreement in definiteness or case ending. And that's because kabirun in these cases carry different grammatical values. Okay, so we don't call kabir the sifa. In this case, we actually call it the khabar, and over here it's called the khabar kana, both of which we will discuss later on. But just remember, an adjective is a sifa in Arabic grammar only if you follow this pattern, baytun kabirun. Now let's review the adjective or the sifa by taking examples from the Quran. And I want you to pay attention to agreement, again, in these four fundamental aspects, in case, definiteness, number, and gender. In Surah An-Nur, verse number 35, we have the phrase shajaratin mubarakatin, a blessed tree. شجرة مباركة. Gender. Both of these words, the ism and the sifa, are feminine, mu'annath. We are talking about mufrad or singular, and both are indefinite because of the tanween, both are nakirah. And the case ending both, notice how both take a kasratan, a kasrah at the bottom. Example number 2, we have from Surah Ibrahim, Surah number 14, verse number 2, the phrase عَذَابٍ شَدِيد, عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. When we recite this verse, it's وَوَيْلُ لِلْكَافِرِينَ مِنْ عَذَابٍ شَدِيد. We end on a sukoon, but if you look carefully, you will see that there is this short vowel on the bottom, which is not read because when you stop on a sukoon. Anyway, both of these words are mudhakkar, masculine, both are singular mufrad, both are indefinite nakirah, the tanween, and then both take the same case, which is the kasrah. In Surah An-Nahl, Surah number 16, verse number 67, we have the phrase rizqan hasanan, rizqan hasanan. Both are mudhakkar, mufrad, nakirah, and both take a fatha. Example number 4 in Surah At-Tin, وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. We have al-balad al-amin. Both are mudhakkar, both are mufrad, both are nakirah, both are ma'rifah, because the alif lam in front, making both words definite, and both take the same case ending, namely a kasrah. Lastly, we have kalimatin khabithatin, kalimatin khabithatin. Both are mu'annath, feminine, because of the tam marbuta. Both are singular mufrad, both are nakira, indefinite, and both take the same case ending, a kasrah. So that brings us to the end of lesson number 1. Here is a quick review. Every Arabic word is either an ism, a noun or a pronoun, a fi'l, a verb, or a harf, a particle. Every ism is either definite, ma'rifah, or indefinite, nakira. Every ism is also either mudhakkar, masculine, or mu'annath, feminine. And also, every ism is numbered. It can be singular, mufrad, dual, muthanna, or plural, jam'. Arabic words have case endings, and these case endings tell us something about their functions in the context of sentences. Plurals fall under one of these 3 categories. They can be jam' taksir, broken, jam' al-mudhakkar al-salim, sound masculine, or jam' al-mu'annath al-salim, sound feminine. Lastly, in the phrase baytun kabirun, the sifa, which is kabirun, agrees with the mawsuf, bayt, in definiteness, gender, number, and case. This is the end of the first lesson. Thank you for watching.